Hello, this is Nathan Worthing, pharmacist and owner of Clark Professional Pharmacy in Ann Arbor. And I just want to go through a handful of questions that I've been getting about the new COVID vaccine. So first question, did I take the vaccine? And the answer is yes, I did. I just finished my second vaccination. I had a high fever, about 102 degrees for a day or so. That did wane after about 3 or 4 days. I was feeling much better. And, by day number 4 or 5, I was up riding my bike and feeling great. I felt very comfortable with the data. I looked at information from uh, the groups that were saying don't get the vaccine. There are some safety concerns, there are some unknowns. So I looked at that information very carefully. I also looked at information from the CDC. I looked at information from the manufacturers, and I also looked at information from the previous studies that have been done from the previous decades that have been leading to the development of this vaccine. And so after kind of assimilating all that information, I felt comfortable with moving on with the vaccine. I felt the safety was there. I felt the short-term safety was there, and I also feel the long-term safety was there as well. So which leads into the next question, which is how do you feel about the long-term safety of this? So what I've learned on this journey is that most adverse or serious vaccine injuries, if we look at our old or our traditional vaccines, occur within the first 2 months after getting the vaccine. So we're well out of that. Just looking at the study participants, we're well out of that from the vaccine administrations that have been given globally so far. And we really haven't been seeing really high levels of major concerns. And some of the big major concerns are things that have been brought up, like initiating autoimmune disease, initiating Guillain-Barré syndrome, causing cancer, other unusual scenarios, and that has just not been panned out in any of the information that's been brought to my attention so far. And so as a sidebar question is, how do we know that the information that we're getting on the safety of the vaccine is true and correct? How do we not know the government's not manipulating the numbers on this? And here in the United States, we have 3 different vaccine reporting systems. We have a consumer system, which is where it's a voluntary system where consumers that get the vaccine will put in their information and they'll have follow-up in a digital base. We also have the CDC that tracks information from healthcare professionals and providers and adverse reactions from the vaccine and vaccine injury reports. And we also have a third party that uses data analytics, which is what they'll look at 9 major medical institutions in the United States, and they'll look for connections. So for example, if your medical record shows that you've gotten a vaccine on Monday, and then all of a sudden your medical record number shows that you were in the hospital 5 or 6 days later because of a heart attack, it's making connections to see if there's something we're missing in the traditional reporting systems. And out of all 3 of those systems so far, the data has been consistent, which gives me a great deal of confidence that the numbers aren't being fudged or somebody's not reporting something significantly. So I feel comfortable from that standpoint. Does the effectiveness of the vaccine outweigh the risk of getting COVID? I can't stress enough that yes. So globally, if you look at the risk of dying from COVID, it's 1 in 100, and that's just the average general population. With the vaccine, that drops the risk down to 1 in 100,000, and so that's a risk that I'm willing to bet on if there's any concerns with the vaccine to get that many magnifold risk of dying from getting COVID. The other bigger issue that I think that's not really getting as much traction in the press and in the medical literature is the long haul or the long-term complications of getting COVID. So long-term complications, this would include breathing problems, heart problems, kidney problems, reproductive problems, fatigue problems, cognitive problems. The list actually goes on and on. You're likely to have one of those symptoms long-term at a rate of about 10 out of 100. So even if you recover from COVID, you may have some of these lingering symptoms, and which, in my opinion, is just going to have a real devastating and costly issue to the United States. The risk of having those symptoms and having those long-term complications after getting the vaccine drops down to about 1 in 1 million. The risk of being hospitalized drops down significantly, almost to zero, with this new upcoming Johnson and Johnson. And the risk of serious disease also drops down to almost zero with these vaccines as well. So that's all super promising. Which again is a reason why I have become an advocate of this particular vaccine, because I have seen firsthand some of the devastation from people recovering from COVID. We have a lot of clients that just have recovered and they're just not doing well month after month. And so we don't want to end up in that position. And if this vaccine can help reduce that, I'm absolutely recommending to accept that risk of any potential concerns that this vaccine might have in the future. So when will pharmacies be able to get the vaccine? So Washtenaw County, interestingly enough, since we have this new UK variant, has been prioritized for getting some vaccine. We are hoping to see a significant increase in distribution by February 12th, is what we've been told by our distributors in the CDC. And it's possible that Clark Pharmacy may be getting some within that same time frame, as well as all of our other local pharmacies as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to call me or email me, 734-369-8782, and I would be happy to discuss this with you. Thank you very much.